Welcome to yet another episode of Third and Short, where, of course, we talk sports, but it's a special holiday weekend. My guy, DJ Plum, a.k.a. Jason Plummer, in the building for Memorial Day. What's happening?
Man, chilling, giving, first of all, thanks to those who put their lives on the line and gave all on this Memorial Day weekend. I want to say a special shout out to everybody for that. And at the same time, I enjoyed some great barbecue, some good basketball, both on and off the actual court, and some good times and some good drinks with a lot of events here in the city. So it's been all in all a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Got a chance to get that little R&R in. How about you?
Oh, man, you said my two favorite letters, but they're the same letter, right? R and R. You know what I mean? Like the wife and I and, young sir got a chance to just vacate a little bit for the 20, the 20, you know what I'm saying? So, a little travel hack, right? So by the time we got back, we went from like Wednesday to Saturday. So by the time we got back, we was chilling for like Sunday and then Monday. So by the time we get ready to go back to work on a Tuesday, we ready, right? Because we vacated from the vacay. A little travel tip, you know what I mean? Just so it happens, you know what I mean? There's a little 20. So yeah, food, folks, and fun with the fam, 4 Fs, you dig what I'm saying? So listen, we definitely had a good time, but I'm glad to be back though, talking sports. Let's get right. Oh, wait a minute. Before we get right in, because, I was so ready. You dig what I'm saying?
Don't forget, man. Don't forget.
We got to tell the people, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good. I got to tell you, man, the people been rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? These early episodes, Third and Short, you feel me? People in the comments section. So we're going to give them a little something to talk about. So appreciate y'all for tapping in. And don't forget, we got the merch, y'all. The BLC store got merch. We got new merch coming, sports merch coming. I can't even get it all the way out. Pause if there's one needed. But anyways, let's get into it, okay? Because, last night, we got the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to have to go back and see what our predictions was, but nonetheless, we got the Eastern Conference Finals, right? You got the New York Knicks down 1-2 because the Pacers went into the Garden and did what they did, stunning everybody and their mama. So, of course, New York, to have any chance, had to go in there to the Fieldhouse, in Indiana, and try to get one. They were down 20 at some point in the game, which seems to be where they played the best. But nonetheless, though, my guy, Plum, what are your thoughts about last night's game, where this series is, your initial predictions, are things in line? I feel like there's so much to talk about, but maybe not really. What are your thoughts?
So, if I remember correctly, I did say that Indiana was going to win this in 6. And I'm going to start with that prediction and end with that prediction. The reason I say that is I gave game 3 because New York to have any chance in this series, even though I didn't give them a chance in the last series. You gave them a puncher's chance, if I remember correctly, on last series. So I was like, all right, a little bit more respect. They earned to be here. Boom. I'm going to give them a puncher's chance to get through this series, which I think 6 games would be respectable. 2 wins, boom. I do believe that Indiana still has a lot more basketball to play better. And again, you gave up don't go up 20. Just keep the game close, and then you're as clutch as they are. Clearly, you're more clutch when it counts the most, so you can win those games. But I honestly think that it came down to one person so far, and if this one person can give them being New York, the lift that they're going to continue to need to be able to be in this series, then that person, which I will refer to as Cat, because obviously I've given him hell this entire series, has been the baller. I don't know if that's consistent though. Can he give it to them game in and game out, which would then lead to possibly a game 6 or 7? Because right now, I think that was a one-off. So I'm not really still sold on New York as far as that is concerned. I still think Indiana wins this in 6.
Wow. Okay, I'm trying to remember what my prediction was. Was it New York in 6?
I think you went New York in 6.
New York in 6?
Or
okay.
Either 6 or 7, but you definitely went New York. So
I have to go back and check the tape. Of course I went New York, right? Because, the NBA wants New York. The world probably, between the two of these teams, we want New York, New York. Now, here's the thing that got me about this whole thing, because I knew we were going to come up in here And you was going to be like, oh, the chest all pumped out. Like I told you.
Hey, man, I took a lot of L's. You got to take your W's when you get them, okay?
I ain't even going to hold you, Plum. I was like, damn it. I guess my win streak, my run was about to be over, right? Initially, right? I was like, damn it, man. After the first game, not so much. I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. I know everybody was talking about the numbers, the improbable comeback, the amount of time that was left. I get it, right? So cool. That was a thing. And then the second game happened. I expected New York to win the second game. So when they lost the second game, I had to take a step back. I said, well, damn, this might be the first time I'm wrong in this offseason because I've done a pretty good job of, looking at things, right? And so you hear everybody talking, they talk. And then yesterday's game happens, right? And I'm thinking, okay, listen, the only hope that we have of still being right, because I still have a chance of being right here, right?
You do.
If I said Knicks in 6 or 7, it's still possible, right? So I just want to make sure that I still got a chance. And so the only way I still had a chance was for the Knicks to win yesterday. And they're down like 20. And I'm thinking, what in the entire fuck? Right? So seriously, bro. I'm like, y'all know if y'all lose, it's going to be a wrap. I got to go on the show and look like a fucking jerk and be wrong for the first time. You know what I'm saying? They weren't thinking about me. But then I turned away, me and the wife were watching 24, just doing our little thug thizzle, just hanging out. I wake up the next morning, Knicks win. Get the fuck out of here. Right? Apparently, them being down 20 is what they need to move forward. But I'm going to just say this to you, Plum. I think there's a lot of people who overblew what happened in the first 2 games. None of these teams are experienced. Right? And so, yes, if you're New York, you had the lead, you took your foot off the pedal, which is exactly what it looked like Indiana did, because I feel like game 1 and game 3 is almost neck and neck in terms of both of them had substantial leads at home, took their foot off the pedal, and an improbable return happened, and they ended up losing, right? Cool. Right. So really the only other game for me was game 2, where you look at the old boy, Pascal Siakam, who balled the fuck out, and it wasn't that big of a margin of victory in terms of Indiana winning. So for me, this series is still close. When New York comes back and win games 4, right?
Bold statement.
What would have happened, right? Nothing. The first 2 games wouldn't have mattered, okay? It's not like the Boston-New York series where Boston was so much better than New York. No, these 2 teams are relatively equal, in my humble opinion. So 6 games, 7 games, I think the idea that they're going to somehow just really beat up on the Knicks and get rid of them was ridiculous because they were not that caliber of a team, right? Boston clearly could do that even when they were fully healthy. So all I'm saying is, I was like, yes, we got a series, and the hope of me being right, the hope of New York being a co-star in the finals is still alive.
But see, that's exactly where we want you. In the hope phase. We have a hope. We have a puncher's chance. But I don't think that's going to happen in this series. Again, I expected Indiana to lose game 3. They've lost game 3 of all the series they've played in this particular postseason. Mm-hmm. They still won all those series. So for me, I figured
2 series, Plum. It's been 2 series.
That's all right. We're talking about this year, though.
Okay.
That's 2 series where this has happened that they've still won. So a third would not necessarily be surprising to me. So my whole point is, I still think Indiana has still played better than New York overall has played. I think in that first game, New York probably played their best game. And it wasn't enough.
It was enough. The game that they played was enough.
Did they win?
It wasn't enough. You're saying
win?
It wasn't enough, right? They didn't win, right? But if you're saying they played their best game, everybody can point to the critical collapse that they had towards the end of the game that made the 1 out of 11,100 fucking games, right?
I don't care how you slice it. Listen,
okay, cool. Okay, cool. I'll have to die on that hill. But what I'm trying to understand is, what did Indiana show you that they were that much better than New York? I don't understand that. New York has the better seeding. Right? They beat the better team coming in here because even before Tatum went down, they were up 2-0 against the champion. So they're a little bit more credible to me than the Cavaliers team that you said wasn't full strength, even though they were being cooked by the Pacers, right? Cool. So what about the Pacers are you seeing that somehow says they're that much better? Yeah, they won the 2 games on the road. Nobody's knocking that. But the truth is, for most of all 3 of these games, if you look at them, they were really relatively equal. But you're making it seem like the Pacers are that much better. Why?
I don't think it's that they were that much better. I think that they were a better team long-term, considering how Tom Thibodeau was playing his rotation. Now, to that fact, the fact that Thibodeau made an adjustment on his, game plan, and adding in players like Shamet And to play in this last game when Jalen Brunson's in foul trouble and Cat's carrying the load in the fourth quarter, I will give him credit because now you got fresher legs, you got people running longer. Whereas I thought in a long series, the wherewithal and the ability of Indiana to run and gun and still continue to play at a high level and a high pace would just be too much for them to do over a considerable amount of games. So that's what I thought. Now, again, Tom Thibodeau made an adjustment. We'll see if that adjustment continues and if that adjustment does still hold some merit and weight. I'm also concerned about Nesmith and that ankle injury. That to me is a very big deal in this series because he was playing lockdown defense and obviously he had an offensive game that was for the ages, as you pointed out earlier. So for me, his injury is very vital and critical to seeing how the rest of the series may go.
Oh, not Nesmith is now vital to see.
Don't act like that.
Come on,
Don't
man.
act like that.
You sitting there talking about a punch. When I said New York had a puncher's chance, we're talking about the champs, the guys who won, you know what I'm saying, the championship the year before. So, like, that's different, right? Especially given that they were still young. Now you got two young teams. That's why for me, like, I think I said this to you before. You got these young teams, bro. Like, none of them are established. Right? Established teams would not be down, up 20 and let a lead go the way that they did. None of these teams, like, bro, the stuff that I'm seeing right now are from young teams. So it wouldn't be crazy. I've seen series in the past where no home team won. To like game 7, right? Because unfortunately, sometimes some teams play better on the road. In fact, you want to talk about records, the Knicks are 6-1 this playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. On the road. So for them to be able to go out there on the road and do their thug fizzle isn't like a team who can't do it. They did that in the Garden. So doing it in the field house is nothing for this particular team. So for me, when I look at the players on the New York side, I feel like Brunson has given me more show in the past to let me know he's ready for the big moments, right? I just feel that. I also feel like, yes, they haven't even played. Brunson, speaking of which, hasn't even played his best yet in this particular series.
I mean, if he can stay out of foul trouble, stop foul.
You know what I'm saying? Cool, bro. But the thing is, both teams have an opportunity to play better. But I think ultimately, if New York can unlock, to your point, a little bit more help, and if Cat plays a little bit better, bro, this series, to me, game 4 is going to tell it all. They're going to 2-2. Woo! Your boy gonna still be right at the end of the day because I think New York can still win in the field house or still another one in the field.
No. Here's the thing. I don't disagree with the whole numbers you're giving me at the road. The problem is New York is supposed to be the home team here. So game 7 is in New York. And clearly, I don't think Indiana has a problem going into New York and winning. So,
yeah, but the chances of them having to do it again after already getting those early gifts, I just don't see it from them. You know what I'm saying? But listen, we'll see.
We'll see.
I will say this. I'm just happy that it's actually going to be a series because I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared.
It was bad early. It was scary early. But to your point, both of us said this was going 6 or 7. So it's not like we shortchanged either team. We just have different ways of seeing how we're going to get to that 6.
Absolutely. And another series that looked like might go 6-7, you know what I mean? It didn't look, matter of fact, another series that didn't look like it was going to be something, right? Because between this and the last episode, and in fact, tonight's game, so we're not going to get a chance to prognosticate, watch it, but we'll get a chance to tell you what we think and we'll see if we're, right on the other side. But the first 2 games, OKC at home seemed to drub the shot of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so game 3 rolls around and it's like, the Timberwolves turn the tables and they drub the shot of OKC. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you make of this series, bro? Because I know you was probably thinking, here's another one that I got in the bag.
Man, boy, I was so excited.
Whoa.
I was so excited. And then I knew, like I said, you were on vacation. I was like, okay, he may not be caught up on everything that's going on, but let's give it to game 3. Because the first 2, I was like, okay, OKC really just played OKC basketball. High defense, high intensity, high IQ. Shea, being the MVP, played like an MVP. And then I thought to myself, geez, I do remember him telling me that guy on the other side is a him. And that wolf looks like he may be ready to eat. And I'd be damn if in game 3 he did not disappoint at all. He showed up, he showed out, he put the team on his back, and everybody came to play. Which is the big thing that I didn't see in games 1 and 2 is it wasn't that Anthony Edwards didn't come to play. The rest of the Wolfpacks, he was a lone wolf in enemy territory. And that's a little hard to do when you got that other team on the other side. So now at this point, I am still looking forward to a very competitive series. But I gotta say, I want to say you said Minnesota in 7 or 6.
6.
You said Minnesota
I
in
said going
6.
back to OKC might be a problem for Game 7. If Minnesota want to do this, I said give it to me in 6. What did you have though? Do you remember?
You know what? I believe I said Minnesota in 7, and you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong. I actually think it might be OKC in 7. I might actually have to go and ride on that hill after I've seen what I've seen from the OKC Thunder.
That's right. We both did pick Minnesota. That's right.
We did.
Okay, go ahead.
We did. So I'm going to switch it up.
Okay. I'm
going to switch up. And I'm going to say, based on not them being up 2-1, I still see this going 7 games. I just think I see Shai Gilgeous playing the way he plays. They can say he's foul baiting and all the other stuff. Who cares? The man knows how to get contact, how to get through the free throw line, how to score points. And if you look at statistically, he's doing it lesser at a rate than the people that we love, like the Kobes, the LeBron Jameses, and the Michael Jordans. So miss me with the whole he's foul baiting. Come on, guys. Y'all don't even understand what physical fouls are even for unless we've seen it here in the playoffs this first time. And I think I would say the first time in a long time we've actually seen a playoffs that's been at least somewhat physical, although some people feel like this series isn't that. So I still think OKC fully at full strength when they play their A game, the defensive intensity that they can bring on any given night, with the fact that I know Shai is going to give you 30 almost every night. It's hard for me to pass on the MVP this year. And I passed on him last year. I thought he was MVP caliber last year. I passed on him last year. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, I had to take a drink because I'm about to talk it.
Okay. You were a little parched. Needed
I was a little parched. Thank you, good sir. Yes, sir. Because this was yet another series. I'm watching this shit, and I'm like, what in the entire fuck? Right? I got Minnesota in 6. They got their asses handed to them, right? After having some chill time, you thought they would have had the energy, right? But not clearly. And so I'm like, what the fuck? So I said, you know what, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come back. You know what I mean? Even it up. Still win at home. Right? But here's what also was in the back of my mind. I remember you was like, because we were talking about, I said they were going to steal a game. And I think you was like, hey, it might be game 1. And I was thinking to myself, when they lost game 1, I was like, oh, damn, they lost game 1. And I had to remind myself, that wasn't my prediction. When I said they were going to steal a game, I wasn't saying game 1. But when you mentioned it, because I think a lot of people, the conventional wisdom was that, hey, they was on break. They just got off a long series with Denver.
That's what I was thinking.
For and a half. So I get that, right? So when they lost the first 2 games, I'm like, damn, if I say 6 games and they lost 2 of them, they clearly wasn't stealing those 2, right? So what has to happen?
Oh, you just moving the steal a little further down?
Because listen,
down the line.
Listen,
game 5 is what you're saying.
Listen, bro. I don't because the truth is, I don't have any emotional connection with any of these teams. Right. So
there's
it
no
allows
dog in the
me
fight for you. I got you.
to watch it like in a different way, the way that I actually prefer to watch sports. You know what I mean? If you just give me a moment, right? Because for me, when my heart is in it, when like my team is in it, it's a tough thing. You know what I mean? And so being let down, it's a different watching experience, right? So like when the Falcons, right? When they were in the Super Bowl, bro, it was a different watching experience for me. And when they let me down, broke my heart for real, I was off them and probably off the NFL. That's how I take my breakups.
Which I saw it happen. I was here.
Right? So
I got you, brother.
Because I don't like putting my emotions into things I have little control over. You know what I'm saying? I ain't put the jersey on. You know what I mean? I'm not
stepping on the field of the court. I ain't touching
I'm not in the front office.
Right.
So for me, the best moments is like when I could just be like a casual observer and follow the storylines or root for my favorite player. This is the best sports watching for me, except I would prefer like some of our more, traditional favorite players. But these new crap, okay, I'm cool. I'm here for it. So anyways, right? So back to this game. So then he wins game 3 and he balls out the way because I'm looking at Ant-Man. I'm like, come on, Ant-Man, what you doing, bro? Your team's down the way that it is. So yes, they had to win, but I'm excited because I think we have a series. Because just like New York needs to win game 4, I need the Wolves to win game 4. And this is when my prediction comes true. because game 5 is the game that I want them to steal. Close game, nip and tuck, and it's Ant-Man's time to show you, to separate why he is him, and he might be him as an MVP, but he ain't him like me in terms of elevating his team and then closing it out in game 6. That's how I saw it playing out. That's the way I still see it playing out. And I'm gonna land with this and pass it back to you, right? Because the game 3 win wasn't just a win. They blew them out. Watching those first 2 games, it felt like OKC was outclassing the shit out of the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? So I think most people, had they seen game 3 and it was a squeaker, you might have been like, oh, wow, they barely won that. Well, shit, I'm still heavily OKC. But the way they won that game told me, and I think most people subconsciously, oh, you know what? These are young teams. First time on the stage for some of them or whatever, took the foot off the gas. You had, OKC still having the momentum carry over from the previous series. Okay, cool, they're at home, whatever. I wasn't falling for none of that shit at the end of the day. My prediction is still in line to come true, just like the other series. Go me, go me.
You are still in line to be correct. You do have that ability. So yes, I am happy for you on that. And you brought up some interesting points, because I know you and I have been talking back and forth about being hymns and all of that. And speaking of which, I mean, we didn't give a proper shout out to, I guess, Shea with winning the MVP award and that nature. But I think for me, there's even a bigger question beyond than just him being the MVP. And I'm wondering if you and I may come to maybe a consensus on where we are at some point with this. Because I'm also thinking that this particular series is also like a battle of the face of the league, or potential face of the league. And so I'm wondering, because you and I have also talked, and I've said before, I don't think the face of the league should be a non-American born player. However, we've looked at the league, and clearly the face of the league for the last 7 years has been a non-American born player.
I don't know about that. I don't agree with that.
As far as with MVPs in that regard.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily the face as far as like the franchise of the LeBron James and Steph Currys. Until those GOATs leave, that's still going to be the presence. But the question I guess we're looking at right now is, as we talk about these new finals, or these new Final Four pairings, if you will, who is the new face of the league? Or is it possible that the international player is the face, or going to be the face of the league going forward? The Lukas, the Jokic's, the Giannis's, the Shea at this point. And I'm just starting to wonder, with the way the game is being played and where we're going with this game, the way it's looking, the international explosion and all of that, if this is where our league is actually going to be. What are your thoughts?
Oh, wow. Well, first, before we get into that, I was going to ask you, because we didn't talk about tonight's game, are you with me in terms of the Timberwolves winning tonight's game and going up 2-2, or tying the series 2-2? Are you with that, or do you think they go down? What are your thoughts real quickly as far as game 4? We're not able to obviously speak on it. We're recording before it comes out, so we'll see if we're right tomorrow. What are your thoughts about tonight's game real quick?
I think, to your point, I think Minnesota shows up tonight. I think it's a closer game. It's not a blowout, what we saw. I think this is a game that somebody's going to hit a clutch shot in the very end. I would call it maybe within the three-point game.
Okay. Well, listen, just to be a contrarian, I think it's more of the same that we've seen. I feel like these teams might still be figuring each other out. And then game 5 is where it gets tighter, like the sphincters. You know what I'm talking about? Where the pressure cooks up.
So
like
you think OKC
in a
wins
bad
tonight?
Position, what you said.
So
What you say?
You got OKC tonight then?
No, I'm saying that I think it's going to be a continuous blowout. Like, I don't think the first three games...
You got Minnesota win tonight in a blowout. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think the first 3 games were about 10 points, right? All 3 of them ended with like more than 3
all 3 of
point
these
margins, right?
One way or the other.
So I think it's going to continue to be that for the Wolves. And then I think by game 5 is where it gets tighter. And that's where you kind of stepped on my joke, where I said that the pressure is going to mount like a boil in a bad position. That's a little inside joke, pun intended. Right? But anywho's, moving right back to your previous question.
Well done.
Now listen, it's funny, and actually a perfect way to mix both of them, right? So what we have right now with these last 4 teams, right? We got Shea, who is the MVP this year, 1,000%. Kudos to him, well deserved, right? And yeah, I get it, these foreign-born MVPs, but Joker counted for at least 3 of them. And depending on the team, the amount of success that they have, the turnaround story, I think honestly, even Steve Nash back in the day won a couple at times that people thought that Shaq should have won them. So that's number 1. Number 2, I do think that, yes, you can have an MVP, but it's not necessarily the face of the league. Michael Jordan, I believe, won 4, if not, I forgot how many MVPs he won. He won a lot of them, but there were years he didn't win it. That doesn't mean he wasn't the face of the league when he didn't win the MVP. So I do get some people trying to use a conversation around MVP to also mimic the face of the league. But in truth, it's really about the star, American-born or otherwise, that I think has a consistent history of winning championships, for example. So LeBron, for example, winning a couple, that allowed him to be the face of the league for far more a longer period of time than his championship greatness really allowed it to be the case, right? But because number 1, he had Steph come in there a little bit, he was able to get him some championships. So you had 2 kind of co-leads, if you will, kind of giving you a flavor of both sides of the coin to a certain extent. And so now the NBA is looking for that new guy. And the truth is, LeBron is not really it anymore. I think most people recognize that. And Steph, as great as he is, he's still unfortunately not able to consistently be in competition in this later stage of his career, but we still root for him, and so he still serves a purpose. So now the NBA got this new crop, and they're trying to figure out who's going to be that guy. And for me, out of this new crop in particular, there's only one guy that makes sense for all the dreams that you guys may have who believe that it has to be an American-born player, and that's the guy who is built in the mode of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I don't know, listen, Joker would never be that. Aside from the fact that he's foreign-born, he's a big dude. He's a little doofy in terms of how he moves. People are trying to be like Joker when they grow up. They're not going to buy his cereal for real. He's not the most marketable guy. Same thing goes for Embiid. Same thing goes for Giannis, right? All these guys that you're mentioning, even Madison Avenue, like, oh, wow, that's great. They're the MVP. What the fuck are we going to sell with them, right? I mean, Giannis has a little bit more personality, so I'll give him a little pass. But the point is, it's about marketing. It's not even so much about, it's marketing, but we require there to be championships there too in order for us to fully embrace you. And so Anthony, Ant-Man, has an opportunity to put one of them bad boys on his fingers. And if he does that, that officially puts him into the category and the conversation of being the face of the league. Jason Tatum won his, he's that, but he didn't win the MVP for the championships. So therefore, it's like a little asterisk, just like it was for the other light-skinned nigga, Steph Curry. Apparently, light-skinned niggas can't just be the face of the league off real.
It just won't work. I don't know why.
Why, right? Am I getting tried? I just noticed that. Like, damn, that is true. Like, Steph didn't get it when they first won, and Tatum didn't get it. It's like, damn, bro, right?
Well, they kind of gave Steph like some of the love as far as face of the league. I mean, the baby face with the MVPs. Family, he did get that. He got the
well, he got the championship.
As I like to call it, the Good Morning America treatment.
He did get the championship, and he had 2 MVPs. But like Jason didn't have those 2 MVPs. He did get the championship, but because he didn't get the championship, and I think the MVP for that, there's still some, and what happened to him in terms of the Olympics. So for whatever reason, light-skinned niggas be getting curved when they get close to being that. But guess what, though? Ant-Man, he won't get curved, right? Ant-Man,
well, I mean, he's got a chance. He's got a chance right now, but I mean, when I'm looking at the top 5 players in the league, even if going down to maybe to the top 10 players of the league, most now are foreign born. Like the hopes and dreams of what you're talking about are relying on an Ant-Man and hopefully, I guess, a Cooper Flag that's now coming into the league. I'm sure that would be much loved if he could become the face of the league, because the last time we had an actual white guy as the face of the league, it was Larry Bird.
Larry Bird probably still wasn't the face of the league by himself.
I mean, he wasn't. He was in with Magic, so that was a time where that had to be needed for the game and where we were as far as just the growth of the game. But since then, I don't think we've ever had a player like we've had impact players, but not a face of the league type of guy like John Stockton's and that type of player.
I'm telling you, they can never be the face of the league, Plum. I'm telling you, a white person could never be the face of the league.
So not even Cooper Flag?
Not even Cooper Flag. That's my humble opinion. So when you talk about like it having to be an American-born player, I'm also telling you that it probably has to be a black player to be the face of a league that's predominantly black. And it would have to be, he would literally have to be the...
Interesting.
He would literally have to be the white Michael Jordan. Like his swag, if he was like, because guess, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Drake. Right, Drake is a perfect mixture of white, black. He's like you couldn't dream him up any better, which allows him to do things in a way that allows him to be that for the culture in a way, right?
Right.
That person would have to be that. right? It couldn't just be a straight up white dude to do that. No, if you had a Larry Bird, you need a Magic Johnson.
You need a Magic, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, a white dude by himself is going to do it. I'm sorry, I don't.
Interesting. I don't disagree. Like, I'm even looking at the other players in the league, like the Devin Bookers, who could potentially be a top 5, top 10 player, but you say like all of that. I mean, I guess then that doesn't leave a lot of hope for your boy Jalen Brunson. I mean, I guess Tyrese Halliburton is out too.
I'll be honest with you. The only way Jalen Brunson gets a bump because he's in New York.
He's in New York.
Right?
New York.
That gives him a Madison Avenue bump that other people don't have. Because I honestly think, like, aside from what city you're from, right, the franchise you're playing for, the style of play that you have as a player, you know what I'm saying? Like what you've accomplished individually, you know what I mean? So these younger guys are getting more accomplishments. But in doing that, they are writing their stories in these playoffs. So for the last couple of years now, we've seen Ant-Man writing his story. And the way that the cookie has broken for him so far, he has a chance to like do something that most young players at his stage of his career would have never had a chance to do, right? Most of the time, the 23-year-olds would have been going against the 27-year-old version of him, right? The older brothers who've been out there putting in time the way that Jordan did. Like, these young boys have a chance, like I haven't seen before, to just go out there and get it and put their name on it. But guess what? Because they haven't done it enough, even he is the only one, I think, in these crop that if he does it, he'll literally be close to getting stamped as the face of the league. The rest of them, it's like, oh, we'll accept your application. Thank you. Cool. We'll look it over and get back to you. Hopefully you get back here next year type of shit. Right? He's the only one that I think that most people off rip, if he wins the chip and depending on how he win it, they'll be quick to throw him the face of the league. Quick. The rest of them, it's a wait and see situation.
I agree with you mostly with that. I only in the exception with Shea. I think honestly Shea is marketable enough. I just don't know if he wins the chip this year. I think he has a strong argument. Whether the NBA but this is my also belief now. I'm also starting to think that the NBA is pushing to a bigger agenda more than just, and like we talk about all the time, this is not just sports, it's business too. Mm-hmm. You know, the NBA is sitting here competing with the NFL. They already had Christmas Day jacked from them. Now looking at international play, like the one thing that I'm seeing is I think they're trying their best to maybe market more to an international group in the sense and hope that can pull in more viewership, more eyes, more drawing, because it's more relatable around the world now. The one difference I see with the NFL is a game that we can take outside, but truly is an American sport. So it's not something like you can't really play football elsewhere, American football. Like you can get a football and a field, but you still have so much other stuff that you need to play a game. Whereas, almost any country anywhere can find a way to put up a hoop to play basketball. So I think Adam Silver is starting to bank on that international brand and building to try to go ahead and use that to then say, this is our market now, as opposed to what they've been just being the American brand. Whereas like the NFL is like, we're American, we're going to stay American-based brand because you only can play this type of football here in America, but we're going to branch it out so that you can have it and see it in other places. If that makes sense.
I mean, I hear you, but like the NBA has long since had their investment into the world game and to growing the sport. I don't think anything is happening any differently. Maybe the rate of growth is slowing down a little bit, but one maybe can argue that with streaming and the way that people have access to content now, that the rate of growth can continue to expand. But the NBA has well been invested in growing the global game. And I think you said it kind of yourself as far as the NFL, because I don't know why we always compare these two, because the people who are going to rock with one may not rock with the other. It really just comes down to your point about accessibility. And so yes, in a sport that can translate into other countries, you end up getting players from those countries who gravitate to the greatest league, and so that their countries get, a little bit more exposure. But I think honestly, like that's been happening. So I think even if the NBA was like, hey, we're going to go out there, we're going to grow the game, we're going to eventually get the Giannis's out there, we're going to bring them back. But the truth is what the truth is. America's greatest export is culture. Right. And there's a certain way that culture looks when it comes to hip hop, when it comes to swag. Right. There's a lot of American culture that's influenced by people who look like Anthony Edwards or who look like Michael Jordan. There's reasons why certain people move culture in a way that others don't. So for me, when I think about growing a sport, I get it. I do think, yes, the NBA is great. They have the international exposure and all that. I don't think they're necessarily, we got to turn the spigot up a little bit more so we can compete with the NFL. No, I think they're doing a good enough job to a certain extent, because we're literally seeing the fruits of their labor. Guys who were not even born yet when the NBA was making those investments have literally got born, grown up, and now in the league. So we're seeing those chickens coming home to roost. But one thing I wanted to say though, because I wanted to go back, because you had said about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that you didn't think he could be the face of the league because he was foreign born, right? So if he's an MVP,
well, I don't think he should be as far as
I wanted to draw that distinction between whether it was you think it should or could, because I'm also going to say that I don't think he can be. Even because I think the first argument that we had was I said, well, listen, if he spoke like a nigga from Philly, I think it would be fine for the most part because people may not draw that distinction, right?
Right.
But then I think your point was true too. Like people want to relate to the person. So if he's from Edmonton or Calgary or wherever he's from, people may not be able to relate to that. And then also, I saw a video of him chilling, beautiful, with his wife, right? And so that was the other thing I thought about in terms of what do we expect from the faces of our leagues. For example, if LeBron was the face of our league, he was married to a black woman, and so was Steph to a certain extent, so was Michael Jordan. So there's other elements, right? Whether it's like, you know, what country you're from, you know, whether it's your style of game.
Right.
You also think that who you're married to also plays a role, or maybe who you're not married to, even in 2025, plays a role in terms of a person being a face of the league. Because I think we blame the international side, and we can really get into the cultural differences sometimes, and I get that. But I think there's other reasons why certain people may not be the face of the league. I think a lot of it is marketability, it's style, and stuff like that. But I ain't gonna hold you. When I saw old boy and his wife, I was like, Plum was right. Aside from him being Canadian, I don't think this gonna work either. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Am I tripping? What the other shit you want to talk about? That's good.
Like I said, should and could are two totally different words. Should, no. Could, I do think he could be, but I think for obvious reasons, like I would pose to you a question based on like what you said, because marketing and location is also a big thing. Like take the same person, same attributes. If we were to switch Jalen Brunson and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's on teams and still had the same like results, would you tell me that New York wouldn't embrace him like an American, even if he wasn't? You see what I'm saying? The face of the league. So to your point with the marketability, but I think he still has that kind of, I think that I've seen him in the ATT. I mean, now the other two guys that play with him, I love Jalen Williams, I love Chet Holmgren, but they do seem kind of corny. At least in that commercial vibe that I got. But at the same time, hey, you getting your money? I ain't mad at that. That ain't corny at all. But I just, there's still something that doesn't say it's for me that he could just be because again, I don't believe a non-American born player can be what this game was originally adopted to, even though they can probably play the game at a higher level at this point.
I don't agree with that part because we highlight a few of the exceptional immigrants, even though like when you look at the top and bottom, there's still to be a bunch of Americans with the top, players in the NBA, right? But I get that we focus on the ones with the best.
That list is rapidly changing.
Show me the list where it's still not a majority of who the players are in composition. I get that we focus on the few best ones, cool. But we're
talking about the ones that move the needle, right?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the talent pool and people are making assessments about the talent pool, I think we got to be careful about that, right? Because there's other conversations where we highlight people who are exceptional and they're only one of a few, but there's a lot of other exceptional people, right? When we talk about American-born players versus foreign-born players. And I'm just saying that I get that we focus on the top-tier ones, but there's not a lot of them in terms of the rank and file.
I got you. I see
so the numbers kind of balance out a little bit.
It's still, I got you.
Yeah, so we make it one thing. And the only thing I was going to say, too, though, is like, I know we didn't want to touch it. Pause. But when you mention, like, the face of the league not being foreign-born, I don't think we've seen that, right? So I don't think we're saying anything that's crazy. I don't know. To me, the last, I can go from Jordan to LeBron in terms of who's been the faces of the league. So we know that the faces of the league have been black. For the most part, we know that they've been married for the most part.
Well, even from Jordan to LeBron, you had the Kobe Shaq, but they still, to your point, were all black.
Kobe was never the face of the league, in my humble opinion. So,
really,
I'm sorry, he was not. I literally when Jordan, I think it was probably even Shaq a little bit more than Kobe. I think LeBron definitely, as far as the face of the league, the guy that they were putting out there, pitching everything to. I know Kobe was cool, but he was being overshadowed by Shaq, which is one of the reasons why he wanted to get
I disagree with that because when they both split up and he still got those other championships without him, I think that was the whole calling card for all of that. And I think the NBA really rode that coattail for him.
But you forgot he had a rape case, bro, between that, right?
I do remember that.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I'm making my point in regards to how I can draw the line of the faces of the league. And you mentioned Kobe, and I'm just saying I can understand why somebody would say, hey, Kobe maybe not so much. Kobe was great. People love Kobe. But Kobe had a lot of other things going on. And face of the league is also about having a clean record, just like Michael Jordan did. So when you go from like the Kareems to like the fucking Magics to the Michael fucking Jordan, Jeffries of the Jordans, all the way to like the LeBrons, right? The people that they really elevate, the Steph Currys, right? These people, I was making the point, right? That they were not foreign born. Right, many of them were married to the same relation or race, person or whatever in many cases. So I think if we're in an era where we're seeing something different, that's cool. But I'm going to go with history and say that what we want to see from our faces of the league is somebody who looks like Anthony Edwards, who can keep his dick in his pants and maybe marry his baby mama. Okay, if he can give us that, you're talking.
You're talking about Travis.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If he can do those things by the age of 25, man, if you're out there, my brother, it is right in front of you. Okay, you win the championship. Keep your dick in your pants, or just do better business. Okay, and marry your baby mama, my nigga, and the world is yours. Okay,
I mean, win a championship. Win a championship too.
Yeah, that's first and foremost. It's right in front of him. But listen, man, let's get him out of here with some quick takes. I know you were excited because you're a baseball guy. Ronald Acuna returns with flair. Did he have hemorrhoids or something? No, you're talking about it baseball. My bad, man. I had a tough week, but go ahead.
I was going to say, man, this is boiling over. Oh, man. But no, truthfully, I was so excited to see our former league MVP. And yes, I'm a big Braves fan. To see him come back after having been off, tearing the ACL, all that, and the very first pitch, first swing, crack, home run. It's like, oh, the MVP is back. He ain't even lost not a step. And to further go on in that game and hit another home run was just phenomenal. So as Braves fans, something we desperately needed to see, something we're very happy about. Totally cool. They did lose that game, but they went on to win a couple more. So I'm happy about that. Also, speaking of which, I believe Tyrese Halliburton's dad has been allowed now back into NBA games or Indiana games. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Perfect time to watch his son go home. You know what I'm saying? It's a perfect time.
Yeah, so you can see it up close and personal.
Because listen, when we talked about Tyrese Halliburton and how the rest of his compadres was not really looking at him a certain type of way, I realized the reason why. Because Tyrese is corny as fuck, bro. They don't like the nigga. It wasn't that he was overrated. That was their way of saying that he and his daddy think that he is better than he really is out here when it comes to showtime. That's what it is. That's what it was. I realized that's what it was this entire time, right? And so now that his daddy is back, right, he goes try to do too much like he did in game one, right? In fact, all that shit was corny, bro. All that shit was corny. That's why they gonna lose. Because he's not ready for the moment, bro. Your mind is too busy worried about other shit than worried about what the fuck you should be worried about, my nigga. And now with his daddy back, guess what? It's a rap, Knicks and 6. You dig what I'm saying? Speaking of
I could tell you for a fact he ain't running up in front of nobody, no New York Knicks fans like that. Or
sit his ass the fuck down somewhere. I mean, come on, man. Your daddy corny, you corny. Y'all both of this thing, y'all corny asses the fuck home.
He'll be in this week.
Speaking of a rappy rap, Indianapolis 500 is a rappy rap. You watch that shit, huh? What are your thoughts on it?
I ain't gonna lie. I did not watch the race, but I always stay focused with all the things that happen with sports. And obviously, I just wanted to shout out the winner of the Indianapolis 500, and I can't even remember his name right now. I think it's Palau. But first Spaniard to win it, and he's basically been a guy in history who has basically not had everything but this one race. So you won this one, finally up to you, you know what I'm saying? He was able to enjoy the Brickyard and a lot of milk. So, and speaking of milk, there's a lot going on in the world of social media recently with some Fex football players. Basically RG3 and RC had some very interesting words with each other. What are your thoughts on that?
I might save my longer diatribe for Ryan Clark for another time. I just want you to know, Ryan, I see you. I see what you're doing out there, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you in the Panda lane. You know what I'm saying? Driving down Panda Street. You know what I'm saying? Protect all Black Women Boulevard. I'm not saying Ryan's doing those things, right? I'm not saying that Ryan is finding every opportunity to show Black women how much he loves and support him. You know what I'm saying? By taking every cause. He got to jump on every bomb. I mean, I get it, you know, but I just thought that was some sucker shit to a certain. Look, I love Ryan. Let's be clear. As a sports analyst, as a personality, I've watched Ryan grow on ESPN and develop into the pivot of his career. But lately, though, I've noticed some pander-like, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I just want to say, Ryan, be careful, my brother. I get it. You love Black women. I do too. But you ain't got to be all of them superheroes, my brother, okay? Because what you don't want is to lose some credibility, because some of us see what you do.
I can't be your Superman.
Be your Superman. You're Superman. You're Superman. I know his last name is Clark, but I didn't know his first name. I mean, it's like, is he related? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Plum, you got any final thoughts, bro, before we get up out of here, man? What a great episode.
Oh, man, I got tears, literal tears messing with you. Man, you know it's always a privilege and a pleasure to do this. We appreciate everybody who watches and all the time y'all spend with us. Don't forget to hit us up in the comment section. Let us know how you feel, what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? But that's about it for me, my G.
Yes, sir. Like you said, man, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. If you have some topics y'all want us to hit up, definitely, you know what I'm saying, let us know in the comment section, man. We'll see y'all next week. Hopefully, I'll be right again, and then we'll be closer to the finals.
You won't be. This time, it's my turn.
We shall see. So shall you. We'll see y'all next time. Be easy. Peace.
Be good or be good at it.